Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Best New Comics of the Week show. And there's some pretty decent comics. I'm here with my man, Gray. What up, Gray?
All right, Jim. How are you doing?
Hello, love. Gray is hungover, is what he is right now. So don't. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to scream this whole time to give you a headache.
I'll make even less sense than usual, I think, today.
Yeah, that's impossible. But you're here, and we're doing this. Again, me and you were talking beforehand, and when we go into, podcast or video mode, you do tend to talk a little louder and get things going. And I realize I don't have much of a voice right now. I didn't think so when we were talking beforehand, but here we are. And there is a bunch of books that came out this week, obviously. I don't know if everybody knows this. Spoiler alert, books come out each week, and some of them are pretty darn good. So we're going to talk about those. Again, I will give you a lot of caveats at the beginning here. This isn't a review show, though we might go into detail about some things. We try not to spoil big, giant things. So rest assured with that. But also, these are our favorite books of this week, and we would love to know your favorite books. Just because me and Gray have these doesn't mean that we or everybody else doesn't want to hear what you have, and it's a cool thing. Get everybody a little positive tip and maybe suggest some things that people don't know of or haven't been reading, or maybe even dropped off. There's some books, you end up like, I dropped that before, and pick it up. Now, in all of that, we have a bunch of books this week. We have a one or two that are ending, one starting. We have a bunch of crazy things, but again, not a ton at the big two.
No.
That's kind of the theme. We were starting to do the weird. We're going to get 1 week that we end up having a lot from both, Marvel and DC. We've had times where we get, we really like a bunch of people, but we didn't like Marvel, and vice versa. And usually the indies are the things that do come through. And that kind of is, again, this week. Not a ton of books. And when Gray sent his list to me, it pretty much was my list as well, except for one book that almost made mine. Gray's going to put it, we're going to try to talk about it, but we're going to start with DC. And I'll start it off, if you don't mind, Gray, because this is a book that I didn't love right away. It's The Boy Wonder, and it's the finale, Boy Wonder number 5, written and art by Junie Ba. And it is $5.99. It's a black label book that's odd. Somebody even brought up, every time an issue comes out, somebody will say to me, did you notice that it's 13, age 13 plus? That doesn't seem like a black label type book. It should have been an all ages book. A lot of people have said it, but it's a good book. It's really good. And I think that if you haven't read it, I think you should check it out. The art is something that when you first see it, it might be like, oh my God, that's so different. But boy, by this issue, I love it. I love the art so much. How about you?
Me too. Some of the the splash pages. There's a great one of Batman punching. There's a huge punch. Stay away from my son or something. It's so cool, Jim.
The onomatopoeias even on each side of his face. It's really cool. Sully will like that.
Right?
Sully's going nuts. And this issue, because it is a Damian Wayne book, this issue is a lot of Raish, Talia's there, all that. The only thing that I didn't like that put my score down is when Raish and Batman are sword fighting, Batman didn't take off his shirt. He's always taken off his shirt when he ends up sword fighting Raish. I really thought that. I did too. I really did. People are like, what the heck is he saying? But no, I actually really do like the book. I thought that it was a really good primer for people who don't know Damian or want to know some of Damian's, because what this series did, it gave you a pretty good background of Damian that fits in the regular continuity. And it also gave you how Damian thinks of everybody else in the family and why he reacts to him, what's going on.
Especially the Robins, which is really good.
And in a way that I thought was well thought out, and in a way that I thought was pretty intriguing. And I think that what I found from it is a lot of people were, hey, what's your favorite issue? Well, my favorite Robin's Dick Grayson, and I really like that. And I even had most people were telling me that they thought the worst one was the Tim Drake's one. But that the problem is, I think if you like Tim Drake, you like that. So it's kind of cool. And it gives you the whole...
It's hard to choose the best, isn't it? What do you reckon, Jim, as a finale? Did he pull it off well?
Finale? I thought it was a really good finale. Yeah, I thought it was really good. And I liked that Damian in this, with Talia, with Raish, with that, he was kind of torn between, and he didn't want, but it was really good. And the art is incredible. The art was so good. And so again, if you have the chance, maybe wait for it for the app if you have that. But if you want to get
it's a bit
trade,
pricey, unfortunately.
And so that's the thing. It's pricey. So I would have waited for trade anyway. I don't know how they're going to play it out. And one of the things that drives me nuts about DC, they take a long time sometimes for their trades to come out. But I do think they will have this in trade, and I think it's well worth it. Maybe it'll come out by Christmas.
No, it says here not until February, believe it or not, next year. That's the hardcover, though.
This is what screws me up with DC stuff. They take too long. The iron's hot. Get it out there. You don't need to wait. Marvel, that to their credit, and I don't give them a lot of credit, they get those things out quick. They really push them out. So it's a shame, but maybe a belated Christmas present in February. It'll be like a Valentine's Day present for your significant other. But I really like it. I think that is a solid pick, but that's it for DC.
Me too. I wonder how well it sold you, because I've seen in quite a few reviews, a lot of people are saying we really hope people get eyes on this. We want more eyes on it because it's such a good story, especially if you're a fan of
You want
Damien.
Me to guess? I don't think it's selling very well at all.
No.
I think it's going to be one of those, but it's good enough that I do. It is a shame. I think it's going to be one of those that will sell better in trade than it ever did. Single issues. It's very expensive too. People looking for a Black Label book, I don't think that's the audience for this. Once it gets in the trade, if they're smart, they'll do it in one of those compact books at some point, or even push it as a all ages book. That nonsense with Black Label. Take that off.
That was just
put
crazy.
a YA deal on it and go. And I think it sells way, way better. They should get a hold of me for marketing. But we'll go over to the Marvel side of things, and I'm going to let you take this in what might be. Now, here's the thing. If one of the other books didn't come out this week, this would have been my book of the week, I think. It was crazy and actually made me giggle a lot, but you go with it. What is it?
It's the penultimate issue 5 of Get Fury, written by Garth Ennis, with art by Jason Burrows. It says pencils, inked by Guillermo Ortega. $3.99 as well for this. That surprised me because you would imagine, Jim, that they had to pay Garth Ennis quite a lot to do this story. Although we talked about it before, the rumours are it's been sitting in the back burner for a while. They've had it for years, yeah.
And he's probably been paid and spent that money. But actually, I think what happened, here's what went beyond the scenes. C.B. Cebulski says, "Hey, Garth, how much do we have to pay for this?" And he says, "Am I allowed to have a scene where I have Nick Fury elbow deep into a guy's mouth?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "You don't have to pay me much then. That's all I want to do," because that happens in this issue. If you have been reading.
Unbelievable scene, wasn't it? Oh my God.
It actually is horrifically hilarious. I was laughing so much when I saw that. We ended up, and I still have to edit our Marvel stuff for this week. I just realized I haven't done that, but we were laughing so hard at that. Like, what is he doing? And he's yelling. He's actually yelling an Arnold line from Running Man, where he says, "I'm going to reach down and rip out your goddamn spine." And he's, trying to do that, but he's literally trying to do it. And at the point I said, he's like trying to grab this guy's sandwich, but he is in the back of a car with his arm all the way down this guy's thing. And the one lady who was in there, who actually had a kid from Nick Fury, but he doesn't maybe remember, she looks back in horror and then just looks straight ahead. She doesn't say anything, and it made me laugh so much.
No words would suffice, would they? Just like...
In this thing, and because of that, what this is they do finally get Nick. Penultimate issue, they get Nick.
Oh my God, Jim, when you first see him, when they get him, you see that panel, that page, it's insane. He looks terrible, doesn't he? Look at his fingers.
I said, when you see the fingers of the things that I went to it, they are bent all over. When you see Nick Fury, and he doesn't have the eye patch, and there is an empty socket, and that's the prettiest thing on him, then you know there's trouble, because that's how it is. I was like, holy moly. And you see this, and again, each issue, it feels like a horror movie. I keep saying this, that you get those crazy kills each issue. So that's what you kind of what's the crazy? This one had one where a guy just gets his face just demolished against the wall. And then, Nick Fury has his arm into this guy. Pretty crazy. But all this is to go where now Frank has saved Nick. And they're going to do whatever, but you also have the Army or the Marines and the CIA after them because they are up to no good. They've been transporting drugs and things back to the States through pretty much the fallen soldiers.
That's so bad. Soldiers. It's terrible.
That's so bad.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's really, and that's one of the things Garth Ennis does in this, where sometimes it is hard to establish, hey, who's the bad guys, especially in something. They're in Vietnam. There's the CIA, there's the Marines, Frank's a Marine, all this. Nick is kind of undercover all the time. So you have to do something to make us hate that. Boy, doing that by shipping things with the fallen soldiers, that is completely awful.
It's horrible.
And so you really can get behind, we want these guys to go. Now, in this, we'll kind of go through this quick, but the guys, the CIA guys, it was such a weird scene where these guys are driving down the road. And the one guy's driving, the other guy says, like, hey, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, you're really driving fast. And then this guy, like, sideswipes a village, then goes after a water buffalo in cart. I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Off his car, yeah.
He knocks him. I think that guy's dead. I was like, what is he doing? And he never mentioned, it's not like he's like, yeah, get out of the road and yelling something. He's not saying anything. And this other guy's saying, are you okay? I don't know what was going on with that guy.
Dave and Steve, Jim. Dave's driving like a maniac, and Steve's like, you know, are you okay? But then he just keeps talking about Nick Fury the whole time. Like I said, he never says,
he never says like, oh man, like I'm coked up or I'm doing this. Like nothing. He's just doing his thing. Well, Steve is like, what the heck? I do think that by the end, though, in this next issue, and it is Steve. Steve's the blonde-haired guy, right? Yeah. Steve is definitely the weak cog of this whole operation of the bad guys. He seems like he cares a little, and I think that he's going to end up doing something that helps Frank and Nick to kind of get out. Now, in the meantime, you also have Nick Fury's daughter, who he doesn't know he has in the mom, and she's freaking out because Nick Fury's the ticket out of Vietnam, and he is insane. He's
lost
really good.
I'm worried about Nick, Jim. I think he might have gone too far in the prison.
Yeah, I think so
He's
too.
Lost his mind.
Are you with me that if you're Frank Castle and you get Nick Fury in that, don't let him walk around on his own. Like he is walking around muttering things that next thing you know, he has his arm down this guy's throat. I'm like, oh my! And Frank, nobody stops him. They're just letting him do it. It was so crazy. But I
went more with that car
really
chase, by the way. I don't know about you. There's a little scene where you get a car being chased and it's being shot by a tank, which misses, of course. I wanted more of that. It's a shame.
Yeah,
a couple of pages.
Yeah, I'm with you, too, because a lot of it is kind of the CIA. And I did say, I laughed at the CIA deal. That's actually the least interesting part of the thing is the CIA guys, because they're just trying to figure out stuff. But by the end, it sets up
I've seen people losing interest as well, Jim, with this series. I'm really enjoying it, but people saying it's got too boring, it's too wordy. You know, they want more action, they want more like Frank and Nick.
Yeah, and I'm a guy who does get easily bored with things, and I get easily bored with things that might be. I actually really like it. I think it's really good.
I think it stands out at Marvel Books at the moment.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, and just to mention. We're here on YouTube doing this, but me and you have both done written reviews. I used to do it a lot on our site, but nobody's doing reviews anymore. No. I'm just giving a shout out. Anybody out there, you want to start doing reviews, it might be the time to do it. Maybe the interest is down a bit. There's not even a review for Get Fury. Not one. It's so weird
crazy.
You end up having Spider-Boy, no reviews. You have all these things going where there are legit books. And I'm not saying they're the biggest things ever, but no sort of things going on. And
there's only a few user reviews on League Comic Book Geeks for Get Fury. There's nothing on CBR for it. It's not even listed, is it, on CBR, I don't think.
Speaking of which, comicbook.com is a site that they seem to have stopped reviewing things themselves. So this is just an aside. I ended up, because I had done reviews, I don't know if you know this, Greg, but I've had over like 3,500 written reviews. I'm not tooting my own horn here. But I want to tell you, the idea.
The size of his head is amazing.
I love reviews. I love reading reviews. I used to love writing them. It took me a long time.
I do. I didn't enjoy writing them, G, but I love reading them. I really do. It takes me so long to write them. It's like another bloody book report.
Oh my God, it would take us, because we actually took time and effort. But some of the people wouldn't even know. If you're listening and you do reviews and they're on I probably know your name and have read your reviews, because I actually read almost every review each week. I haven't lately because people have kind of bailed. But Miles Morales Spider-Man, not that I'm saying that Cody Ziegler is not a hack, because I think he is. No reviews for that either. It's insane. Weird. I don't get it. Yeah, it's very weird. But again, that's just an aside for people to see and maybe get inspired to do. Because I need more reviews to read. I don't want to write them. I want to read them. So let's
same here.
But we'll go to the next book, and that's it for Marvel, obviously. So we'll go off to the indie stuff. And I'll let you start, because we have a Dark Horse book that I did like up until this last issue. And it's not that I didn't like it. I just didn't love it. It's just a little below what I would give for book of the week. But you liked it because you're sus. So you go with it.
I am sus. It's
what
true.
Is it?
It's another issue 5, surprisingly, Jim. There's quite a few issue 5s that we like this week, but it's Dawnrunner, issue 5, written by Ram V. Spectacular art by Evan Cagle. That's what absolutely blew my mind yet again. But we talked about this before we went live, didn't we? And we both kind of scratching our head a bit about this conclusion. What exactly happened? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you have the Tetsus, you have these attacks and everything going on. And I'm reading it, and we were going to do it on our indie podcast.
Yeah.
And I read through it once, and this is the thing. I'm always pushing for time because I can't pay attention to anything. So I'm reading it, and then I have to go and record. And I realized I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to read this 2 or 3 times.
I think I'll have to reread it as well.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, even reread it to just know what's happening, let alone talk about it. And I was having problems. So we ended up ditching it on our indie podcast. So I have to go back. But legitimately, I realize it's good. And I have loved the series. The first 4 issues, I think, are great. I am not a Ram V fan. Not at all. And I thought that you know, because you've heard. The first 4 issues is like, oh my God, you know what? I like Layla Starr. The deal, like his indie stuff,
that was
is
good,
a lot better. That was really good. The thing is, I think that this 5th issue is more Ram V than any of the others, and it threw me. It threw me by the end.
Yeah,
and you have a lot of narration to end it. And the only way I could describe it, I think I said it on the indie podcast, explaining why we weren't doing it, is it felt like Ram V did not know this was a 5-issue series. Like he's writing it like, crap, I got to end up 5 because a lot of things at the end are just kind of thrown at you.
Yeah,
narration.
It felt a bit rushed. It felt like he wasn't really sure how to end it, so it kind of left it on a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. And maybe it can continue. I would hope it would, because I really do like it. I don't know. We'll see. But it is good, and it's a solid book. And if you are a Ram V fan, you should read it, sight unseen. But if you are a little wary of Ram V like I am, you might want to check it out just instead.
Yeah, not the best issue, like we said, but it makes the list because for the whole series, it's only a 5-part series, and the art is spectacular. If you've got any interest in like kaijus or that Pacific Rim style mechas, that kind of thing,
and if you
try it.
If you are a manga fan as well, you have Monster number 8.
Oh yeah, Kaiju number 8, fantastic.
Yeah, Kaiju number 8. I always go by the Japanese name because when me and Luke Hollywood would review those, the copies I had with the Japanese deal. So
where are you now, Luke? We miss you.
Yeah, really. The Kaiju number 8 is a lot of people love that, and it's really that meets Pacific Rim. I think it's really well done. So I do not going to end up having an executive decision and say that you're fully sus, because it was pretty good. And I think that Evan Cagle is going to be doing the New Gods book with Ram V at DC.
Yeah,
I think I heard that. And that's
yeah.
probably going to look great and probably be pretentious as hell, is what I say, and a lot of narration, because that's what Ram V does. But in the lay of the land, I get to say the next book, and it is my book of the week, and it is from Image. It's Rook Exodus number 5, written by Jeff Johns, art by Jason Faubuck. It looks great. And even in an issue that doesn't have a ton of like in-the-face action, it looks really good. The cover is incredible. And basically, this is an issue where Rook kind of gets his groove on. He ends up realizing that finally he has to accept the crows and accept them as, his deal. He's the warden, because he's been fighting them off. He doesn't want to stay on Exodus. He wants to get out, and he thinks the crows are nonsense. I thought that there was some really good plays in this book, but even at the beginning, you have Pumbaa, the warthog, and when he is there and you have Rook talking, but not really, or maybe, it's very ambiguous, the idea, because he doesn't have the helmet on or whatnot. There's some moments where you get some feels from even Pumbaa, who says he misses swine, because he was a good guy. He got murdered and things like that. I thought it was really good.
How are they communicating, Jim? It's not quite clear, is it? Because he's saying like, you can't speak, but you can hear. Can he hear his thoughts? Is that what's going on? I think that he's in concussion protocol. I think that the whole play of this is that, like, almost like subconsciously or of his conscious saying, I have done messed up and I gotta accept these. And it's something that Swine had said to him he should do. Direwolf had said it completely, like, you have to get these crows. That's what you're here for. He always wanted to leave. I think that this was where, because of what Ursaw did and knocked him off that ravine, and I thought that at the beginning he had actually put the swine helmet on, and that's why he's able to talk to him. But I think that this was where he realized that, yeah, I'm here on Exodus. I got to get things going, and because Ursaw is going to kill everybody if he doesn't get involved. So the best moment, though, and something I didn't see anybody else like, when he puts his helmet on and he starts looking at the crows and starts talking to them, he actually says, I want to talk to the leader, and then realizes he never even took the time to ever even know there was a leader. Like, that's how little he cares about the crows. But they've always been trying to help. They're just weird. And then you have some things going on, and then a really weird scene when he jumps off a cliff and things like that. But
by the end.
Scarecrow scene. That's what that got me. That was like giving me flashbacks to Stephen King and The Stand or Children of the Corn, that kind of thing.
And it even reminded me of that Smallville poster. Superboy there and stuff. So you end up, you end up having all these things, and really, it is kind of a reckoning, or it's kind of where Rook decides that, okay, I'm going to stay here, because there's even flashbacks with his dad that's a little ambiguous, where Rook thinks his dad was a hero. Doesn't look like he was, but then again, he might have been. So it's a really good issue. It's one of those. It's more of a a Jeff Johns. I'm going to tell a bit of story here and kind of do a little mind bender instead of just straight up action. I thought it was well played, and what I think
it's
from
really
here,
good. He's like he's bringing out the hero, isn't he? He's making Rook realize that he can be a hero. So I really enjoyed it.
It's
as you say, it's one of the best looking books out there, Jim. Isn't it? It's got to be one of the best looking comics out there.
Yeah, it's incredible, and all of the Ghost Machine books are good, but Rook Exodus is definitely now. I kind of was jumping between that and Redcoat for a bit. Rook Exodus is my favorite now. It's the one that when it's few and far between, and a lot of people who are listening or watching, they're probably like, oh, why do you get excited about comics? It's not exciting. Rook Exodus is one of the few books that I have to read. It's the first one I read. It's that Geiger, it's Redcoat, and a bunch of the Energon stuff. And now it's become, because I was jumping back and forth and kind of losing track of things, because the next book, not this exact thing, but what it is one of the other things I love to read. And what is that? We're going to end with you, Ray.
Okay, we're going to end with a book from Titan. Titan have been killing it recently. It is Conan, Battle of the Black Stone, issue 1, written by Jim Zub. Art by, is it Jonas Scharf? I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh my goodness, Jim. It's like, this is a miniseries, isn't it, as far as I know, Battle of the Black Stone. It does like kind of, it touches on issues which were addressed in the very first Conan story arc. It's also, it's reflecting what's going on in Savage Sword of Conan, the last issue of that, issue 4. I'll tell you what, I love the setting of this. You were saying that before we were recording. The way that it opens in like 1930s America, isn't it? It's so cool.
And it's an adventure club, which I always get excited about. And there's a woman from France, and then you go and there is some time jumps and some things that at one point, when I first read it, I thought, this is weird. Like what? But it's not going to feel like a Conan book. It's even referencing, I said, the year that Robert E. Howard died, so you have that for the year that it's set in America. It
actually feels original, because you get a bit of criticism, don't you, for Conan saying, it's Conan, the same thing over and over again, but this feels like a really original read.
It does. Now, I talked with Wes from Thinking Critical when I was on his Patreon show that we do each week, and both of us said almost at the same time that we want an adventure club. We want a solo series from that.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
I love that. I love that sort of thing, where you have like the old timey parlor and there's all the heads of the. I love it. I think that it was really cool, and it actually surprised me. I didn't think that it was going to be something like it was, where you're jumping around different characters in different times, and I thought that was pretty cool. And seeing the whole deal of how this thing affects everybody, which I thought, again, I thought it was really cool. And with that, I'm going to surprise you, because I have a honorable mention. I actually have another book that I forgot about that I didn't even have on the play. It is a, it's a Mad Cave book, and it is Prairie Gods #1. Shane Connery Volk on art and writing, and it's an original deal. It's the artist from Nottingham, if you're aware of that, and it is really cool. And if you like car chases, if you like just cars in general, and when you read this, it plays off like Mad Max meets Ghost Rider meets like Bullet. It's really good. They even say, I'm looking at the solicit, it says Twilight Zone meets Sin City. Sin City I could see, but it is this guy, and he ends up in this race with the devil. And the only thing that I worry about with this number, like how long this could go and what it means, but in that, it's a really cool book. It looks fantastic, and it's really, really neat. It's a supernatural deal. Like I said, it feels a lot like Ghost Rider at times. You end up having this whole deal. And again, I'm looking at the solicit, and it says that it will resonate with fans of Hellboy, but also the fans of Westerns, crime, race car movies, lost treasures, serials, and war stories. It's like, it is a lot of stuff going on.
I can't find anything about it, Jim. No way.
I'm telling you, I ended up where I got an early copy, and I ended up forgetting about it again. I think this is the thing. Legitimately, I think I may have said it to you at one point, but it was this is like a month ago, Wes, when I sent it to him, he thought it was coming out that week, and he was going on, but he loves it. And Gabe gave it a 9.5. So
no way.
See, it gave sus, but he did. There's two reviews for this, but I suggest everybody checking it out. And then my honorable mention, I actually thought you were going to put it on your list. It's Flash Gordon #2, written by Jeremy Adams and Will Conrad on art. And I didn't love the first issue. I think this one picks up. You get Ming in it. You find out there's something crazy going on. You get the possibility coming up of gladiatorial fights, which is always cool. And it looks fantastic. So I suggest people check that out. That's more of an honorable mention. But yeah, that's it. We're a little early still. We ended up having all that, and I even added a couple. But with that, there's a bunch of cool comics that came out each and every week. A bunch of comics do come out, and let us know what you think your books of the week are, and then we'll compare notes. And again, I said it's one of those where comics are in a bad spot. I mean, me and Greg talk about it every time we go and do this, is the idea that the interest is dying, especially for the big two. So it's always cool to suggest some things and get
comics
some things
will break your heart in the engine.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I'm like, what the heck? But so there are good comics when somebody, and I hear it. I heard it today. When I was on the Aficionado show, where this guy in the chat was just like, every comic sucks. They all suck. I'm like, what? And the guy seemed proud of it. I'm like, why are you proud of that? Like, this is crazy. Like, then people want to hear, us maybe, piss on books or whatever, but that doesn't help us either. And that's the fun thing is getting books that like that Prairie Gods, like I never knew of. And oh my God, it's great. But one of the biggest things that is a frustration for what we do is that we don't really have control over what we're talking about. It's up to these writers, and a lot of times they kind of mess things up a bit, but there's always good things. That's why we do the show, and it's pushing a lot of indies because indies are pretty strong right now as the big two are struggling, but you have some new things coming up with DC, the Absolute stuff. We'll see if that makes the list. Marvel's got some problems. I don't know what the hell they're doing coming up, except annoying me. But there's always something to be had in that as well. But we're going to get out of here. Gray needs to go freshen up, and I mean he's going to start drinking again. Probably, that's my guess.
Hair of the dog, Jim. Does it work? I'm undecided.
This is the thing. It does work for that little bit of time. But then it gets worse. Like you're not going to avoid it.
Off until later.
That's all you're doing. You're not going to avoid it. It's time travel, and next thing you know. So I always went with, I'm just going to suffer now. And speaking of which, I think that I haven't drank any alcohol for the main deal for probably since 1996. I think was when I had like my last big deal. I was at college. When I came home, I stopped drinking.
So. Did you say like that? Something to be proud of, Jim. No, I'm jealous.
It is funny too. I'm right. I'm like, right. My chip, or it's nothing like that. I graduated, came home, and didn't really drink when I came home.
Good on you.
Understand? Yes, I don't know. I miss it sometimes, just because usually when we're doing this, obviously we're talking a lot. In regular life, I don't really say much. I don't talk a lot,
really?
Especially with people that I don't know. And when I drink, then I start talking. Like you haven't heard anything yet. And me goofing around, and oh my God, I'm everybody's best friend. But at least I'm not an angry drunk, like some people, like Eric Shea.
Oh my goodness,
an angry drunk there. And actually, I hear he's like, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen with that guy.
Stay off that gin, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. The gin's the worst. Also, I heard that Gabe, when he drinks, he's sus. So it's just the same thing as always. But yeah, thanks everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you have your picks. Let us know in the comments below. Also, in the show notes, there is a link to Gray's channel, the Wakasashi's Tea House, where he does reviews of just about everything and even has some pics or videos of him barbecuing. Also, grabbing sushi that drives me nuts because I love sushi and can't get anything good around here and things like that. But right now, Gray said that he has a review up that you're getting a lot of crap for the whole Marvel X-Men.
Exceptional X-Men issue 1. I didn't really enjoy it, Jim, and some people don't like that.
How is it that I thought when you first said people are giving me crap for my Exceptional X-Men, I thought you were saying you liked it. And that's why, because I haven't met anybody who likes that book, including myself. It's not good. It's boring and whatnot. Obviously, it's not on our best stuff, but go and give Grace some support and tell these yahoos or yucks to stop with their nonsense just because he doesn't like a book that's garbage. So there you go. Eve Ewing, not good. I always say they just use her because they have Ewing on that and somebody's fooled that it's Al Ewing and they buy it. I'm not a big Al Ewing fan either. So,
I gave it a fair shot. I was hoping to like it. I was hoping it'd be good, and it's not terrible, but it's just not very good in my opinion.
Here's the deal. I read it twice. It's not good. It's not NYX bad though yet. No, so it has that NYX bad. Awful. Oh my God. And some of the others are hit and miss. And that's what this feels like. I love Kitty. Kitty's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, me too. And so, Emma Frost in it. There wasn't enough Emma, Jim. Wanted more Emma.
Yeah. Emma, like the play that you have at the end, it's like, hey, that's the end. Just kidding. I'm like, why are we playing games here?
Like, she's the main character on the cover. You think it would be an Emma Frost-centric issue.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't need to play these stupid games at the end. And then when you get to it, it's a waste of time because you have like 3 more pages. But yeah, I wanted more Emma. I kind of wanted Kitty doing more than serving up mimosas. Legitimately, one of the biggest things that's the X-Men deal of what is the threat to Kitty Pryde is that they might run out of Bloody Mary mix. That is legit, too. That's like one of the biggest things they have to overcome in this book.
How we're going to survive, Jim? How
and survive? Then in that also, one of the other big things is, oh no, I thought I had a date and I went the wrong day. These aren't things that really go up the top of my head of what I would come up with for an X-Men book for a #1 issue. Like, this is where you should have your good ideas going, but nah, nonsense.
Exactly. You should be pulling people in. You should be hooking people with the first issue. There's nothing wrong with, slice of life. That's fine, but it's just not exciting enough, this issue.
Even have again, I don't want to get too much because it's not in this, but what the heck. Even have a cold open that's really cool. That You're like, oh my God, there's the action. Then slice of life. You need something. You can't have it. And some people getting all upset because it revealed that Kitty is at least bisexual in this. But the thing is, that's fine for me. Whatever. You have to have more than just that because that isn't even anything. It's just kind of alluded to. It's kind of mentioned in a weird way. So you don't even what are you doing?
That doesn't bother me at all, yeah. I mean, no, there's people saying people keep telling me in the comments, Jim, that that was hinted at by Chris Claremont, but apparently he wasn't allowed to, to pursue that storyline. And
here's the thing, this is, and again, this will probably piss people off. There are a bunch of characters say when people, oh my God, did you hear that Catwoman's bisexual? And I always react with, I thought she always was. This doesn't really make me think any different. Okay, and Kitty, I did say I knew that at some point I had heard that it was going to be or whatnot, Chris Claremont, and if he's going to do it, fine. It doesn't change the character at all. I really like Kitty, but you have to have more than mimosas, Bloody Mary mix, and, a date. And a date you didn't even go to, so it was very odd. It seemed very forced, but yeah, there's a little bonus coverage of that. And by the way, we just start going through all the books that we didn't like. It's now become the worst of the week, and I did it. But yeah, again, we try to make it positive. But I get mad when I hear that people are bad mouthing you, so I had to step up. And you know what's happening. I'm going it's right to your page.
You can't hurt an AI's feelings.
Well, that's true. Or can you? Because it's starting to learn. It's starting to learn. But yeah, I'm going to go to your page now and start yelling at everybody. That's what I'm going to do. That's how I get through my days and nights, just getting in arguments. I'm sick of arguing with people here on this channel. I want to go to yours because then I could just let loose. But with that, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Great, as always. Again, let everybody know what you guys like, see what we like, and even if it's the same stuff that we did, let us know why you like them as well. That is it. We are done for the week. We'll be back next week with the other show. And maybe not anything in between because I've been lazy. I'm not doing any videos, but that's the way things go. And we will talk to you all next week.